What I'd like to do here is talk about how you build a job and what kind of ideas you have and what your approach is, because after you're done with this, you've got to let other people know what you're doing. And what I'd like to do, for an example, is take this job, which is additions to a healthcare facility. So we have existing conditions we're tying to, and then we're building new stuff. I want to first go over how we approached the existing conditions and what happened. What I'd like to do is kind of come over here and look at some existing and proposed um, contours and information on the plan, so we can kind of figure out what the idea of the engineers were and what we're going to do to try to fix those. I've got a 120 contour here, and I come over and I've got a 118.4 existing spot right here. So with a little bit of information on either side, I've got this 119 contour here, and I've got a 119 over here, and it looks like it drops down a little bit. I've got to try to figure out what this approach is to what appears to be a saw, cut, and replace. Now, the easiest thing to do is have the field go out and give them this line work, have them shoot points along here, and give me a better idea of what I've got in this area, so I can go and build a good transition between the two. If we take a look over here, it's the same situation. I do have a proposed 120 contour that joins in to the existing ground 120 contour, which helps me out. Here's a 119.4 spot for existing. I most likely need to incorporate that if there is paving in this area. So that's another consideration. Over here, I have virtually nothing whatsoever. You'll see that there is a slope here that runs consistent between these, and I could take that and stretch it out to here, but again, I don't know what I have. So you need to make the choice of either leaving that alone and making it a dead spot that has to get filled in later, or getting the field to take some shots, figuring out what you have so you can make it work, and then let everybody know what you did. Put some spot elevations in there, give them some text when you send it out so people can see it on the screen. Maybe even send off an email to the engineer and saying, hey, this is what we did, see if you concur. It looks like I have some grates here, so I can probably pick up something with this existing storm. And then kind of off in this area over here, let me clean this up a little bit, is a bunch of stuff that doesn't seem to make sense at all. I have a 125 contour here, and I've got a 125.5 spot here. So I'm going to need to check with somebody and kind of see what's going on. Or do I leave those out and then put in the top of these rim elevations and kind of see how it looks from there? That's what happens when we go to join the existing and the proposed. Now let's look at what happens when we build a proposed to try to have it make sense for us. These spots here are probably not going to do me much good, so I'm going to maybe leave those alone, and I'm going to look at these other spot elevations here, kind of incorporate those, and make sure that they make sense so we get water flowing to the storm here. That's not a big deal. I've got some other areas here. Again, I talked about this spot where I've got a slope, and common sense tells me to carry this slope right to here. This is a high point. I'm going to shed water this way. That's good. I've got storm over here, so that puts me in good shape. Up over here, I've got a storm rim, and I'm going to pick that up, add an elevation there, and it looks like this is going to try to be a flat spot here, so I'm going to have to watch this and make sure that I don't get a bird bath in here, because this crook right here could end up being a little bit flat and cause me some problems. I might want to look at it after the data's built, contour it out, see how it flows, but that's going to bring up a red flag at least initially when I'm building this thing, to see what it's going to look like when it's done. Over here, again, we've got some good stuff happening. I've got a storm rim here. This is a high point, so it's going to shed water this way, and it's going to shed water this way. Makes good sense. All right, we're pushing water this way. Where's it going to go? Well, we come over here, and what you don't see, and what we had to kind of find out, was that there's actually a scupper here. There's a curb cut that allows water to come down into this retention area, and that's great, but there was nothing here that showed it. So a little bit of investigation, quick email off to an engineer. Oh yeah, there's something happening over here. We made that 116.5, and then that kind of came into this area here, and then it sheds off to these two retention areas. Everything's in good shape. We got that lined out. Again, you need to make sense of the job and then propose the changes that you see to the engineers, because number one, it makes it go quicker when you know the answer to the question, and number two, if it makes sense to you on the screen and things look good, then it's most likely going to make sense to them, help move the job along quicker, because a good designed parking lot like this that flows well, moves water efficiently, is just going to make things a lot nicer for the entire job.